Hello, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Tanya, and I feel like I'm being led to tell my testimony by our Father Elohim. And the first part of the testimony that I feel like he's telling me that I should share is forgiveness. And that has played a really big part on my testimony and how I've grown and how he's moved and helped me. But it all started when I started forgiving people that hurt me. In 2015, I had an encounter with the Father. Prior to that, I would tell you that I was a good Christian, that I did all the right things. I gave the money, I paid my tithes. I did everything I was supposed to do according to what I thought and what we were told to do. But in 2015, I was in really bad shape. I had chronic migraines. I was always in pain. There wasn't a day that I didn't go through that I was not in pain. There was no amount of medication that would stop the pain. I did have some medication that if it got too bad, that I could take and it would put me to sleep. So either I was suffering in pain or I was asleep, and that was pretty much my life for a while. But I was really sick this one particular night, and I was laying on the bathroom floor and I was crying out, and I was asking, Father, why am I even alive? What is my purpose in this life? Why am I living? Because to be honest, I wasn't living. I was suffering, and I was making it through each day, barely. And so I feel like he told me, he told me, stop taking the medication. And I was like, well, that's the only thing that helps me. I wanted to argue. And he came back and was so stern. It was like, no question, don't take another pill. And then all of a sudden I got a vision that showed me in hell, and I was burning. And so that put such a fear of Elohim in me that I decided that I was going to obey. No matter what the cost was, I was going to obey. So I got up and got a shower, and I went downstairs, and my mind was such a mess. I had all these thoughts. I had no control over the thoughts like I should have been as a Christian. And they would tell me horrible things. And that day I had to start learning to catch those thoughts, cast them out, and speak the word that the Father gave me over them and say, it is written, and believe it. And that was the very first day. But and there's so much more into it. I won't go into much more than that. But as he started teaching me to overcome the thoughts, then he started speaking to me that I needed to forgive. And that was really hard. And he took me to start forgiving from the very beginning. And we all have stories in our families. And I'm not going to say anything bad about my family, but we all hurt each other sometimes. And so I had to start to forgive my parents. And so I was going to a counselor at that time, and she told me to write a letter, and I did. I wrote a letter to my parents, my siblings, and because I live one state and they live another, we Skyped the conversation, or we Skyped a meeting, and I was able to read the letter and share with everyone my feelings, and that I forgive them, and then ask them to forgive me as well. And it went really well, and everyone was receptive, and we forgave each other, and it was great. And that was the start of me beginning to forgive people. The next ones that I had to forgive are the ones that raped me and hurt me in other different ways. And so that was, I think, the hardest, because there was so much hate and bitterness in me, and I didn't even know that I had it, because if you would have asked me before, I would have been like, I forgave them, but I didn't. And by the grace of the mercy of the Father, he knew, and he took me through that, and it was hard in the beginning. And every time I thought of that person, I had to stop, and I had to say, I forgive this person. I forgive them for what they've done against me, and I don't hold it against them anymore. Until the day that when I mentioned their name or thought of them, I no longer had anger. I no longer had ill will in me or thoughts. It was, I didn't think anything. It was just, they were forgiven. And he was showing me the importance of forgiveness wasn't to just say that they get away with what they've done against me. It was to release me from the bitterness and the hate and all that stuff that comes with it. And when I allow that in me, that gives the enemy the right to attack me and has the right to mess with my life, so to speak. And so I learned that forgiveness was huge. And that was the beginning of my journey to getting right with the Father. And it's been a really wonderful journey. He also showed me in his word that if I do not forgive, that he will not forgive me. And that is why I was burning in hell. One of the reasons, because I lived a very sinful life, just like anyone else. I watched whatever I wanted, and I never thought to ask the Father, is this good or is this not? Or I read whatever book I wanted, and these books and these movies were not right. But that's for another time. But for the forgiveness, that sin would have landed me in hell, because by me not forgiving those that hurt me, the Father couldn't forgive me. And without forgiveness, then we can't be with him. And so, and he tells us in his word too, and I have it written down, and it's Matthew, I have on my glasses. Matthew 6:12 and 14 and 15, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. For if you forgive men their trespasses, your Father in the heavens shall also forgive you. But if you do not forgive men their trespasses, neither shall your Father forgive you your trespasses. And that is huge. And we all want to be forgiven, because Yahushua HaMashiach, Jesus, when he laid down his life, before he gave up his life for us, he said, forgive them, for they know not what they do. And he had to forgive, and we are to forgive. And so therefore, it is so important for each of us to forgive. But it's not only for the other person, it's mainly for us, so that we don't have all that horribleness in us. Forgiveness sets us free. Forgiveness helps us walk a better life. It gives us compassion for other people. And that's important. And not only that, but I also need forgiveness from other people. I'm not perfect. I hurt other people too, not meaning to. Sometimes I'll say something or do something that hurts somebody, and it's not intentional, but that doesn't mean it doesn't hurt that person. And so I want to forgive so that I can be forgiven as well. And I think that's really important that we do that. It's so important that we show love for each other and kindness. This is a cruel world, and I think forgiveness is the start of walking in the right direction with our Father. And I just want this to be a very short video for the first one. I'm kind of nervous, so I'm sure I'm not getting it all what I need to say down, because it's a lot. The Father has shown me a lot. He has shown me many things. But the one thing that I am very thankful for is that He gave me a compassionate heart for others and gave me a heart to forgive. And for that, I am extremely thankful for. And I think I'm just going to leave it here. And have a nice day. Thank you for listening. I'll talk to you later. Bye.